Welcome to Deep Dive. Today we're really digging into a critical question. In an effort to secure borders and maybe strengthen domestic industries, are some new U.S. policies. Well, are they inadvertently creating economic headwinds?
Yeah.
Ones that could reshape things for years?
It's a really good question.
We've gathered some fascinating insights across immigration, visas, jobs, tourism, even international trade. We want to help you understand not just the what, but the deeper why these changes matter for the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It feels like a truly pivotal moment. And our deep dive today, it aims to pull together the data and insights we've gathered to really unpack these ripple effects.
Ripple effects, yeah.
What's compelling, I think, is just how interconnected all these policy areas are. A shift in one area, maybe student visas, it isn't isolated.
Right.
It can send tremors through the whole economy, impacting everything from huge industries right down to, well, your everyday shopping basket. So we're going to try and peel back those layers, explore how these decisions really resonate.
Okay, let's unpack this. And maybe we should start where so much future innovation begins, with student visas.
Good place to start.
We've seen a pretty significant shift here, haven't we? Moving away from a system that was in place for a long time. Historically, international students on F1 visas, those are the most common ones, right?
By R, yes.
And J1 for exchange visitors, researchers, scholars, and I visas for foreign media too. They all operated under something called duration of status.
And that system, it was quite flexible, actually. Essentially, it meant their stay wasn't tied to a specific fixed end date.
Okay.
As long as they kept meeting the requirements, their academic program, their exchange activity, they could remain in the U.S. It offered a certain level of predictability, especially for students doing longer degrees or specialized research.
Makes sense.
But now that's shifted. It's moved to fixed admission periods. Generally, students will get up to 4 years.
Just 4 years.
Generally, yes. And if their program takes longer, extending that stay means going through an entirely new application process.
A whole new application.
Wow, so it's a move toward more fixed terms, but what's the actual impact? Because what we've seen in our research is just how vital these international students are. I mean, not just for the different perspectives they bring, but economically.
Oh, absolutely. The numbers are truly striking. Our findings indicate that just in the 2023-24 academic year,
Just that 1 year.
right, international students injected, get this, a remarkable $43.8 billion into the U.S. economy.
43.8 billion.
Billion, yeah. It's a huge sum. And that supported approximately 378,000 jobs across the country.
Wow.
And that's not just tuition fees, It's their spending in local communities, housing, food, transport, entertainment, plus the jobs created in related industries.
Okay.
But maybe beyond the immediate dollars and jobs, the real long-term insight here might be the subtle erosion of America's soft power.
Soft power, how so? Well, think about it. Every international student who chooses another country isn't just a lost tuition fee. They're a potential future diplomat, maybe a business leader, a researcher, who won't have those deep ties to the U.S.
Interesting point.
It could really reshape our global influence decades down the line.
That's a powerful argument for their contribution. Still, we know policies are often driven by different concerns, right? What are some of the reasons behind these stricter rules, even with such clear economic benefits?
Well, that's the trade-off, isn't it? While we don't take sides on policy, you can see that changes like these often come from concerns around national security or managing immigration flows, maybe ensuring compliance.
Okay, those are the stated goals often.
Exactly. But the challenge, as our data reveals, is the economic fallout. Because tightening these rules or adding new administrative hurdles and costs, it could significantly cut this crucial flow of talent and money.
And do we have projections on that?
We do. The projections we've looked at suggest a pretty substantial decline, maybe 30 to 40% in new student intakes because of these changes.
30 to 40%.
Yeah. And if that happens, it could cost the U.S. something like $7 billion and over 60,000 jobs. Just in 2025-26 alone?
That's staggering.
It is. And there's particular concern for students coming from India and China. They're consistently the two largest sources, and they are, incredibly sensitive to these kinds of policy shifts.
So the implications for universities, for talent pipelines, they're pretty clear. But what about the more immediate needs? Our innovation economy, especially tech. That brings us to skilled workers, right? OPT and H-1B visas.
Absolutely critical piece.
This next part about skilled workers, It really feels like it touches the engine of our innovation economy.
It absolutely does. Let's talk about optional practical training first, OPT.
Yeah.
These programs are vital. They let international STEM grads from U.S. universities work here temporarily in their field right after graduation.
Like a bridge to practice.
Exactly. And our research, it clearly shows these programs significantly boost innovation, patents, overall productivity for U.S. companies.
And
Crucially, these studies also show that OPT participants do this without reducing job opportunities for native-born workers. They tend to fill niche roles, contribute to growth that actually creates other jobs.
Okay, so OPT is that bridge. And then for longer-term needs, there's the H-1B visa program. That's central for attracting and keeping highly skilled foreign workers in specialized jobs. We've seen some changes there too.
Yes, a significant reform by USCIS for the fiscal year 2025 H-1B lottery. They've brought in what they call a beneficiary-centric system.
Beneficiary-centric, what does that mean, practically?
Well, it's designed to stop duplicate entries, basically, and make the lottery fairer. Before, you could have multiple companies filing H-1B petitions for the same person.
Gaming the system.
Kind of inflated the numbers, yeah. Reduced chances for unique applicants. This new system ties the registration to the individual, the beneficiary. Makes it much harder for duplicates to skew the lottery.
So fairer odds for everyone.
A fairer shot, yes. That seems like a positive step. But, and this is critical, while it fixes a fairness issue, it doesn't actually expand the number of available H-1B visas.
The cap is still the same.
The annual cap remains the same. That's a key constraint.
Which seems like it could be a direct hit on innovation. Are there arguments, though, maybe from some of the perspectives we looked at, that suggest these limits are necessary, even with that potential cost?
Well, the argument you often hear is rooted in concerns about protecting domestic jobs.
Right.
Though, as we saw with OPT, the evidence from our findings doesn't strongly support that direct negative impact, but it's a persistent policy consideration.
So from our vantage point, the consequence seems pretty clear. Limit OPT, tighten H-1Bs. It directly reduces our ability to attract and, maybe more importantly, retain these incredibly skilled workers.
Exactly. Retain is the key word. These are the people driving innovation, starting businesses, creating new tech.
And the impact is being felt already.
Oh, definitely. We're seeing specific effects on major tech hubs. Think New York, DC, San Jose. They're the biggest recipients of H-1B workers. And they're facing serious bottlenecks getting this top-tier talent.
Bottlenecks.
Yeah.
What does that lead to?
Well, it can potentially push valuable jobs, cutting-edge research, maybe even entire company divisions offshore, to countries that are eager to welcome these skilled individuals.
Oh, it raises a big question about our competitive edge globally.
Absolutely. In an economy that's constantly fighting for the best talent.
Okay, that's a tangible concern for tech leadership.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk tourism. B1, B2, visas, business, and tourist travel. The travel industry's had a rough few years.
It certainly has.
And we've noted it's still struggling to get back to pre-pandemic levels. Inbound arrivals were actually down 7% year over year in May 2025.
That's right.
Which suggests, despite global recovery, the U.S. maybe isn't capturing its full share of international visitors.
And unfortunately, it looks like new costs might deepen that decline. We're looking at a $250 visa integrity fee.
$250. When does that kick in?
October 1st, 2025. And get this, it applies to all non-immigrant visa categories.
All of them. So B1, B2 tourists, business travelers, even the students we just talked about.
Even the students, yes. And on top of that, you've got higher ESTA fees. They're $40 now. Plus new charges for EVUS for Chinese travelers and for land entry documents.
Wow.
Now, these fees are likely aimed at, generating revenue or enhancing security.
Sure.
But the cumulative effect on a traveler's wallet, it's becoming substantial.
That's a lot of new expenses piled on.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for our travel industry? I mean, with international travel still lagging 2019 levels.
Well, these new fees could very well make the U.S. one of the costliest destinations for many markets.
Costliest, totally.
Potentially, yes. Our research suggests it could be a real deterrent for visitors from places like India, Brazil, China, Mexico. Huge segments of our international tourism base.
You can picture it, right? A family from Brazil planning a dream vacation.
Yeah.
These extra costs could easily make them choose somewhere else, somewhere more affordable.
Exactly. And the economic risk here is substantial, especially for states that really depend on tourism. Think California, Florida, New York.
The big ones.
They rely heavily on visitor spending for their local economies. They could stand to lose billions if these trends continue.
And it ripples out, doesn't it? Fewer tourists means
Less business for hotels, restaurants, shops, tour operators, countless small businesses that thrive on that visitor economy. It's a direct hit on local economies. Impacts jobs, impacts tax revenues that pay for public services.
Okay. Finally, let's turn to the broader economic footprint. Tariffs and trade. This area has also seen a lot of action.
It certainly has.
We recently saw that Federal Appeals Court ruling, August 2025, found many new global tariffs unlawful under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act.
Right, but crucially,
Crucially, the ruling let them stay in place until October 14th, pending appeal. So it's still up in the air, but the legal challenge itself really highlights the controversy.
it does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, look, historical economic evidence is pretty clear on tariffs. They function essentially as broad consumption taxes, meaning in practice, tariffs usually aren't paid by the foreign producer. They're import taxes. And they typically get passed on to domestic consumers and businesses through higher prices.
We saw that before, didn't we?
We did. Looking back at the 2018-19 tariffs, for example, our findings showed they increased consumer costs by about $3.2 billion per month.
Per month.
And actually reduced U.S. real incomes rather than boosting them. It wasn't just some abstract economic idea. It meant less money in people's pockets every single month.
And what about current projections?
Well, the Congressional Budget Office, in their 2025 report, they project that the current tariffs will cut U.S. GDP by about 0.6% below baseline levels.
0.6%. That's a noticeable impact on overall economic output. And it really begs the question, who truly bears the cost of these trade policies?
Indeed. The impact is really multifaceted. It ripples through several layers of the economy.
Like who?
Well, farmers and manufacturers, for instance, they often face a kind of double whammy. They don't just deal with retaliatory tariffs from other countries on their exports, but they also face higher input costs. For the raw materials, the components they need to produce their goods.
Okay. So if you make cars or solar panels.
Exactly. And you rely on imported parts, your costs go up, which then either gets passed on to the consumer or it just eats into your profit margins.
And ultimately?
Ultimately, as we said, consumers end up paying directly, not just through those higher travel costs we discussed, but also through increased prices for a whole range of goods right here at home. So while the intention behind tariffs might be, protecting domestic industries,
The reality,
according to the research we've reviewed, is often a broad economic burden shared by many.
So as we've explored today, it seems policies often intended to protect American jobs, maybe bolster national security, things impacting student visas, H-1Bs, tourism, trade. They appear to have pretty significant, broad economic implications.
That seems to be what the data suggests.
The data suggests that from, the highest levels, universities, innovation hubs, down to vital tourism states, individual farmers, manufacturers, and ultimately you as a consumer. These decisions can influence overall economic growth, our competitiveness globally, even household welfare.
It's all connected.
Yeah, the shift in student visa rules, the constraints on skilled workers, the rising cost of visiting the U.S., the economic burden of tariffs. It all paints a picture of a complex web. Intended actions and their, far-reaching, often unintended consequences for the U.S. economy.
And I think it's crucial, really, for all of us to consider that complex interplay, policy intentions versus their actual real-world economic outcome.
It's not just abstract numbers.
Not at all. They affect real people, real jobs, the economic well-being of the nation. It really encourages us to think deeply about how national interests get balanced with the realities of this interconnected global economy we live in, and the many, many layers of impact these policies can have on our daily lives. So maybe the next time you hear about a new visa rule or another tariff, perhaps you'll think about that broader ripple effect we've discussed today.
A lot to think about there. That brings us to the end of this deep dive. As we've discussed, policy changes in areas like immigration, visas, tourism, and trade have wide-ranging economic effects impacting students, skilled workers, universities, businesses, and ultimately consumers like you. Balancing national interests with global economic realities remains a key challenge.
It certainly does.
All the best. We will meet again with another important subject in the next meeting.